gonna try this one more time. If you keep making non sequiturs,
it's not a non sequitur.
It is, because I asked you a question, you've ignored it.
I haven't ignored it.
What was the case?
So here's what I know about the case. Okay, it's very simple.
Yeah.
Unlike Barack Obama, which you had mentioned, he's a murderer. You don't want to talk about the fact that that's never been proven in a court of law. But
what does that have to do with what I asked you? Tell me about the E. Carroll case.
Because a jury found him liable for sexual abuse. I don't have to know everything about the case.
No, you just believe what you're told.
To you. No, I believe in our justice system.
Let's do this.
I believe in our justice system.
Here's how I operate. I will hear a claim and I will fact check it.
Sure.
And try and dig through the facts to see if there's merit. You will believe what you're told.
So everything on the right when it comes to Donald Trump, there's no merit to it, even though he's a convicted 34-count felon. But those were made up. Right, sure. And then
you don't even know the crime.
I don't have to know the crime to know that a jury found him guilty in a court of law. You can disagree with the outcome.
You do.
I disagree with the OJ.
Nelson Mandela was a criminal too. He got locked up.
Hey, sometimes the justice system gets it wrong. I think we could agree on that.
So if you
not my type is a better defense than the glove doesn't fit, I think.
I think the question, you know what? We can just pause right here and say to everybody who's listening, I think my point is I can tell you the facts of these cases and why I have doubts, and you don't know anything about them.
So here's a fact. Donald Trump is a 34-count felon. You can disagree with it, but you can say incorrect till the cows come home. He wasn't sentenced, but he was convicted on 34 felony counts. Now, you can disagree with that. Okay, you can disagree
Name the crime.
That's fine.
Name the crime.
You don't have to name the crime.
Yes,
He's
you do.
a 34-count felon.
You have to name the crime.
Okay, well, listen.
So, again, I will say it to the audience. He doesn't even know what the charge was. He doesn't know who was accused of falsifying what.
I named you a few. I don't have all 34 charges in front of me, but it doesn't, just because I can't name the charges.
Wouldn't it be prudent of you to actually investigate these things before parroting them to a large audience?
I'm not parroting them. All I'm simply saying.
You can't even explain what your position is.
Just because,
What did Trump? Okay, let me try this. Let's slow down. What do you think Trump did wrong in that case?
You're talking about E. Jean Carroll, or are you talking about
no the business records case? What did he do wrong?
Well, falsifying business records was what he was charged with.
No, what specifically did he do wrong?
What specifically?
What do you take
falsifying
issue
records? Falsifying records.
Which records? I'm asking you the specifics of what did you find that he did wrong.
Here's my point.
You don't have an answer for it?
I'm going to answer it for you.
Are you going to give me a specific example, or are you going to change the subject again?
I'm not changing the subject. We're talking about this.
So what did Trump do wrong? Say Trump did thing. Tell me.
Okay. Here's the answer that I'm going to give you. I don't know all the ins and outs of this case.
Well, then why are we talking?
Here's what I do know. Regardless of what your opinions are on the case and what you might think are valid that he didn't do anything wrong, what you might think are valid that he never sexually abused a woman, here's the bottom line, whether you like it or not. A jury found him guilty on 34 counts that you obviously disagree with. Whether I know the ins and outs of the case is irrelevant.
Yep.
The fact of the matter is that he is a 34-count felon. The fact of the matter is that he's a liable sexual abuser. Liable.
Actually, so this is actually legally distinct. He
wasn't sentenced. I understand.
Therefore, he's not a felon.
I understand that.
There has to be the final.
I understand.
Right, so he's not a felon.
I've said that multiple times.
So we agree he's not a felon.
Okay. The reason why he wasn't sentenced is because he won the presidency.
Well, it's under appeal, actually, and it's been over a year since the appellate court was prepared to issue their ruling.
I'll tell you what.
Done it.
If he wins his appeal, I will come on this show and I will say, Tim, I was wrong.
Well, no,
right.
Hold on. We agree, though. He's not yet a felon until he's sentenced.
He wasn't sentenced. I've said that multiple times. A jury convicted him on 34 felony counts.
Of what?
Again, there you go back again, trying to quiz me on what the.
Okay, here's my point.
That's the only point I'm trying to make.
I don't know why you're here.
I don't know what you mean.
We're not debating.
Okay, well,
a debate's like this. Donald Trump did a backflip, and here's why it was wrong. Well, actually, backflips have been long protected. I'm saying Donald Trump was accused of these specific things, and you say, I don't know. And I'm like, okay, then we're not having a debate.
No.
You're just saying I read in the news Trump was convicted, and I say, okay.
Okay, well.
It's important to drill down because then you can compare it to other similar situations and whether people have been charged by that. And then that's the way that you can suss out whether it was lawfare or something unusual.
Indeed, but even outside of that, it's that when an individual is convicted of a crime, it is prudent of a society to analyze whether or not this is a legitimate use of the judiciary, of our legal system.
So you don't like people that accuse other people of things.
And the point I'm making is, I don't believe law dictates morality. I don't believe just because something is legal, it is correct. And I don't blindly trust when an authority figure says, trust me, this person's bad. That's why I oppose the death penalty, because there's going to be some authority figure says, you don't need the facts of the case, kill this man. I'm going to say no. So in the issue of Donald Trump in New York, He was not actually legitimately charged under any crime, and it's unprecedented in U.S. history. Trump was charged under 34 counts of misdemeanor falsification of business records with no underlying crime. They then said, okay, I guess, upgrade it to a felony. Everybody said, well, hold on a minute. This is why it's currently in appeal, because Trump was never actually charged with the underlying crime required for an aggravated charge. It's never happened before.
So let's just say you're 100% right and I'm 100% wrong. Let's just assume that for a moment. I'm not quite sure, but let's just assume that for a moment. I was talking also about the moralities of the case, and you were asking me about E. Jean Carroll. And while I don't want to go into the details of that case, I wasn't there.
You don't know either.
Okay, but he was.
I do.
Again, it goes back to what I said earlier.
What was he accused of doing?
He was found liable for sexual
What does
abuse.
that mean?
The
What
judge
did he do?
characterized it as rape, as penetrating her with his fingers. A jury found that he was liable. Now, I wasn't there. You weren't there. But here's what I do know.
What year did it take place?
I don't recall. It was many years ago. But
30 years ago.
But the point is, he has a track record with how he has treated women from a moral standpoint.
How was it? Let me ask you this question. How was it that E. Jean Carroll was able to bring a case 30 years after the fact?
You're asking me how?
It's very important to the case.
Okay, well,
it's actually a key component.
So by your argument, Bill Cosby's never raped anybody before.
I asked you a question.
And by your logic, because it was 30 years ago, it couldn't have happened. Why are you asking me that?
You're changing the subject again.
No, you're asking me 30 years.
I think the issue is you're so ignorant on these issues.
I don't think I'm ignorant at all. I think you're.
So then, what was the pretext?
You're unwilling to put any responsibility on Donald Trump for anything.
What was the pretext? Trump is wrong. Trump is bad. We've already agreed. He's done bad things.
Wrong and bad and illegal are different things.
So and this is a liability case, not a legality case, not a criminal case.
Sure.
So the pretext by which the case came about is extremely important in law, and I'm asking you the details because you don't know. I presume you don't know, and that's why you hold this position.
Okay. All I said to you, and you want to quiz me on these cases, but I
don't know what you're talking about.
Tim. Is he a liable sexual abuser? Yes or no?
No.
So he's not a felon. He's not a liable sexual abuser.
Oh, well, actually, let me clarify. If I get 3 guys to come in here with badges on and they say you're a rapist, are you a rapist?
If I'm found liable in a court of law, I could be liable for sexual abuse.
I'm pretty
sure if 3 cops came in here and it was presented in a courtroom, my attorneys would defend me. And
what if I paid off a judge?
Oh, so you're saying Trump paid off, or I'm sorry,
I'm not.
Carroll paid. Okay.
I'm asking you a question to understand your moral worldview.
That's not a non sequitur.
I'm asking you a question to determine what your moral worldview is.
Sure.
You keep changing the subject and interrupting when I ask these questions.
Apologies. Go ahead.
If a judge is bribed and finds you liable of rape, are you a rapist?
If it's proven that a judge has been bribed, then obviously you would probably win on appeal, right?
What if the judge brought the case illegally?
Is that right? Is that fair?
Well, perhaps you would. I mean, the question was, would you be a rapist? Would you consider a person to be a rapist if a judge was paid off to do it?
Not if it's proven that a judge was paid off.
But we don't know.
Was the judge paid off?
In this instance, we don't know. I'm just asking you, in a circumstance where a judge it's not a legitimate ruling,
if it's
the ruling itself
I'm answering your
lacks
question.
merit.
I'm answering your question. If it's proven, obviously, that if a judge is paid off, then obviously.
What if a judge brought the case illicitly? Meaning it wasn't actually able to be brought into a court, but he did anyway.
Okay, so being bribed and your opinion of being illicitly brought are 2 completely different things.
So I'm asking these questions. If a judge brought forth a case, or I should say, a case was brought to a judge that did not have legal merit to be entered into court of law, and he said, we're doing it anyway, and then said, you're a rapist. Is that legitimate?
I know where you're going with this.
Where am I going?
And you're making the case that's what happened here in the E. Jean Carroll case.
I'm trying to suss out your moral worldview on when do you determine that an act of the judiciary is not actually legal?
If that's proven. If it could be proven that way.
So the court. So
yep.
You
asked me the judge question. I gave you my best.
The point of this is, if your argument is the very blanket, a guy said a thing, we can certainly agree a guy said a thing. If the question is, did Trump in a legitimate setting face these claims and convictions? The answer is no. And I can break it all down fact by fact, detail by detail. Specifically with the E. Jean Carroll case, there's numerous factors as to why this is meritless. Notably, that the New York State legislature passed, it might have been, I think it was the state, passed a law allowing claims beyond the statute of limitations for a period of 1 year to be brought up for civil action. The only person who picked it up was E. Jean Carroll, and then it disappeared. This is lawfare. Additionally, E. Jean Carroll's story made literally no sense. She claimed to have been wearing clothes that didn't exist. She claimed to have access to rooms that she did not have access to. And Trump, the most famous man in New York, instead of going into his hotel across the street from the Bergdorf Goodman, went into a crowded building where there was no one for this one period for no reason. None of it made sense. And we can sit here and say, well, that story is certainly strange, but why did she claim to have clothes that didn't come? Why was she claiming to be wearing clothes that didn't even exist at the time? A specific dress that wasn't released until years later. More importantly, she didn't have a key to that room, nor did Trump. And she also said the Bergdorf Goodman, one of the busiest stores in New York, had no people in it. So you then say, I find that all to be credible. Okay. And the New York State legislature passed a law allowing her to bring it.
I never said that.
So why would you agree with this stuff?
The only thing that I said, Tim, was that he is a liable sexual abuser. Now, we could have disagreements on whether you think it's credible or not. I asked you the question very simply.
And here's my worldview on government. I think when government makes claims, they have to prove it. And if they can't, I wouldn't do it. So when I see a guy who's clearly innocent on death row, I don't call him a murderer. I say they have cheated an innocent man. I call him an innocent man. When Kamala
the Parkland Five, right? They're innocent.
We're not arguing the Parkland Five.
Okay.
My point is when you have people on death row, I oppose the death penalty, who are innocent, I won't call them a murderer. If the state falsifies evidence, and they've done this on numerous occasions to imprison innocent people, the state is the criminal. The prosecutors are the criminals.
I think here's where
and they need to be in prison.
Tim, sorry to interrupt. I think this is where our disagreement is. While we have a lot of different disagreements on, Donald Trump, whether he's a criminal or not, the fact of the matter still stands. He was found liable for sex. Doesn't mean that it's credible, Tim. I think you're misinterpreting what I'm saying here.
No. I've clarified that point. The difference between us is you trust government, I don't.
I don't trust government 100%.
But you trust them enough to convict people.
Here's what I
don't.
Here's what I will say, Tim. Okay,
and that's fine.
Here's what I will say, Tim, and then I'm sure you want to move on to some other stuff. But I don't always trust government. All I'm simply saying is I gave you my moral.
Yeah, government said so, and you agree.
Well, it's not just about government. It's about his behavior. It's about the things he says. It's about the things he does. I think it's an embarrassment.
I think you're emotionally offended by Trump as a character. So you're willing to entertain illicit government action because you don't like the man?
No, I think there's a lot of reasons why I don't like Donald Trump. There's a policy standpoint of it, and then there's the moral standpoint of it.
What other policies don't you?
Atrocious human being, okay? An atrocious human being. I think maybe we agree on that. I don't know.
This is the distinction.
But you agree he's a really bad guy?
No, I wouldn't say that.
He's not a bad guy.
You said you've just changed.
Good father, good husband.
Oh, he is a great father.
Having unprotected sex with a porn star 2 weeks after Barron is born, that you think that's a good father?
I don't think a single action could define a man who's got great kids who have been very successful. I think people are neither absolutely good or absolutely evil. There's varying degrees of whether someone could be good, bad, or otherwise. And Donald Trump has certainly done things that knock him down a peg or two and bring him down to the lower tier, but he's done a pretty good job with his family, indeed. I mean, look at the success they have. His kids are well-adjusted, successful individuals.
3 different lives, yeah.
C'est la vie, I suppose.
Even Hillary Clinton on the debate stage said he's a good father.
This weird, puritanical argument doesn't work on me. I'm not a conservative.
I didn't say you were.
Right, so when you say Donald Trump banged a lot of people, I'll be like, certainly did.
I just don't think he's a very good person.
That's the narrative context of all this, right? Because the big thing the Dems blamed Hillary's loss on in 2016 was that she was accused of being a felon. And they thought that made a big difference. And it did make a difference. But they thought that if they could throw that felon label onto Trump, then there was an opportunity to get that to do the same thing that happened to Hillary. But they don't realize there were a lot more intangibles under that besides the felony accusation, which is why Trump was able to spin it as outlaw. And also the law is important, I think. I agree, the law is important, which is why it's so important that we really suss out whether there's political lawfare, because that undermines the whole trust in the entire legal system, and then you just have chaos.
Well, I mean, going back to what...
If you're making an argument that some Christian Catholic person might agree with, it might work on a Catholic Christian or whatever, or conservative. I'm an urban liberal moderate, and I think Trump has certainly sinned quite a great deal. But people having done bad things does not define them as...
So policy is
a singular bad action doesn't make someone a bad person.
So is it fair to say, Tim, that policy...
Although there are questions of whether being with a guy one time makes you gay.
I would say it probably does.
Go to boonies.com.
Unless you
for the record, Tim.
Be gay or don't be gay.
Tim, I will not go on a date with you tonight.
We can compare policy versus empathy too. But after meeting with Trump and having dinner with him, there were a few examples that stuck out, which seemed like really hard to fake empathetic impulses, including around Hillary. When we were talking about how Hillary got maybe pushed, maybe not pushed by the Secret Service into her car, and we all started laughing.
Yeah.
And he's like, that's actually not really nice. You could get seriously
he's a really
hurt.
bad guy. A guy wouldn't say, when he talked about John McCain and he said he didn't respect him because he was captured. I tend not to like people who are captured. I felt that should have been disqualifying right there.
I was mad when he made fun of Rand Paul's hair, but then he started debating
different.
Hillary, and all the feelings of anger went away.
I don't like J.D. Vance. I don't like Ron DeSantis, but I'll tell you something I would never do. Shit on their military service. I respect anybody who serves this country, and I respect their military service. When you say you don't respect somebody because they were captured, can you admit and agree with me that is just an awful, despicable thing to say?
Of course, I've said it before.
I don't think the Zoomers are going to care about that, though, because they've lost faith in all institutions.
When John McCain died, there are so many people that I know that just mercilessly attacked him for being a warmongering neocon. And I certainly didn't like him for those reasons. But Lord have mercy, the man was tortured for years.
For 5 years,
and was permanently disabled because of it. And
right.
I said nothing but nice things when he died, despite really despising him.
Well, that's nice of you. I think that's the right thing to say. I thought when he took the microphone from that woman, if you remember that moment when the woman's called, Barack Hussein Obama. I thought that was a great moment for the country.
Absolutely.
And Tim, I guess my point is Donald Trump would never do that. And I
agree, yeah.
And that's the point I'm trying to make. We can have disagreements. And I don't have the 34 counts in front of me. I don't know. You know a lot more about the case than I do.
Yeah, I'll tell you what.
I don't doubt that, Tim.
I'll tell you what I see happening in this country. There's a million and one ways to describe it, but it looks like there are many people who I would describe as default liberals. And that doesn't mean that they're Democrats or overtly politically liberal. This is a definition of faction. They emotionally dislike Trump. Therefore, Trump is bad. What Trump does is bad. It's always going to be bad, whether, for example, is like the East Wing thing happening right now. Like the fake outrage over tearing down the East Wing is just the weirdest thing. He's not the first president to do it. He's not the last president to do it.
I'm not focused on that.
I understand.
Roosevelt,
This doesn't need to be on you. I'm just saying there's all these liberals that are coming out aghast that there's a remodel happening. And we had the worst riots in 50 years where all of our statues are being torn down. I'm not talking about Confederates. I'm talking about Thomas Jefferson, Hans Christian Heg, Frederick Douglass, and they were supporting that. Thanks for watching this clip from the Culture War podcast. We're live every Friday, 10 a.m. to noon, so subscribe and come hang out.